The next From Software title has been revealed to be Elden Ring, and fans of the Souls series have many unanswered questions about the title. In this Elden Ring Everything We Know video, we summarize all the bits and pieces scattered throughout the wind and give you some insight into possible release dates and features. Without a doubt, the most unexpectedly welcome development we know is that the game is being produced in collaboration with George R.R. Martin. This has prompted a lot of interest outside of Souls fans, not least as the Demon's Souls and Dark Souls game worlds had dark Western fantasy settings, and Martin is of course best known for A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. While we're very curious to see what this collaboration will look like, we already know we shouldn't be expecting a Martin-penned story. In an interview with Bandai Namco, game director Hidetaka Miyazaki explained that the collaborative process involved Martin discussing Miyazaki's ideas and then writing the world's backstory after that. Confirming this in discussion with IGN, Miyazaki explained that he felt the process of video game design would be too constricting for the author. So while Martin has provided the mythos, the game story is all Miyazaki. Considering the E3 2019 debut trailer, this isn't too surprising. While characteristically vague and typical From style, we can perceive some very Miyazaki-like themes. We learn from the voiceover that the Elden Ring, that which commanded the stars giving life its fullest brilliance, has been destroyed and also the sky is burning. This of course brings parallels to the collapsing sun of the Souls universe, and how such sun would be commanding the stars and giving life brilliance. The tone is furthered by visuals of destruction and decay, including a severed arm, a woman slotting a prosthetic arm using her other decaying hand, and the blacksmith figure who appears desiccated, cracking and collapsing at the end of the trailer. This is classic From with the fin de siècle themes of dead or dying world, of darkness overcoming the light. And let's not forget Dark Souls was originally going to be titled Dark Ring, until someone smartened up that it might mean something unpleasant in some slang. We see in the trailer part of a golden curve apparently in splinters. We know from the IGN interview that the ring is not a Lord of the Rings style device, an actual wearable magic ring, but is more thematic, a force that forms the rules and rhythm of this world. This also discounts possible connections to From Software's Eternal Ring game, as in that game, the rings were indeed physical objects. The Elden Ring of the trailer has, in spite of not being a physical accessory, been shattered. Of course, the apparent blacksmith figure in the footage is deliberately provocative. Is he the destroyer, or is he trying to fix something? We're probably wrong either way. But what is interesting is that figure and others in apparent states of dissolution and yet still live, and of course there is the severed arm which is still twitching. Is the ring the cycle of rebirth, or has its destruction prevented people and creatures from passing normally in some other way? What we found interesting on that piece of speculation is Miyazaki's revelation of exactly which of Martin's books is that he recommended to his team. Not Game of Thrones, but Fever Dream, Martin's tales of immortal vampires seeking to remedy the curse of their existence. We've seen Miyazaki put death and undeath central to the Dark Souls world. Could this be another area of inspiration and collaboration, in addition to the dark Western fantasy world we've just been introduced to? Lastly, on game theme, Miyazaki commented in the Xbox Wire interview that there was a theme of will or ambition of mankind. Certainly the Gaia damaged by human action trope is extensive in JRPG world stories, including famously Final Fantasy VII, and this would fit Miyazaki's style of dying world storytelling. However, he also said that was one theme, and a theme represented by one of the presented character artworks. There may be more, and you might want to explore the screenshot gallery in this case. Open world and mounted combat. So far, so mysterious. Let's move on to things we actually do know. First up, this is going to be Souls-like, From-like, Miyazaki-like action RPG, as spelled out clearly in Twitter, YouTube, and all the interviews Miyazaki has granted. In terms of the game world, it seems the intention is to build on the Souls experience, but in a far broader sense. The phrase open world has got people excited, but Miyazaki has qualified this, stating, "There are many definitions to the term open world, and I might not be phrasing it correctly, but we have simply tried by our own approach to the game with a large open field in play. So anyone expecting a Daggerfall-sized Great Britain full of Souls enemies is likely to be disappointed. However, it does seem the intent is to do more than simply do away with load screens between areas. The player will be able to ride a horse between locations, and indeed be able to do battle from horseback, which indicates an increase in scope. World composition. While this sounds more Skyrim-esque, there are key differences that once again point back to the Souls experience. For example, villages will not be NPC hubs for quest objective accumulation and trade. Villages will be the dark, dungeon-like ruins that you've come to expect from us, according to Miyazaki. So it sounds like rather than having a narrow, constricting battle areas linked by loading screens or long elevator rides, there will be those traditional dungeons, but they will be linked by an open world, which will have its own battle character, as well as opportunities for further exploration and discovery of the world's story. We're looking forward to seeing how much variety these very different environments will present for combat, and to the contrast between the vast landscapes and the detailed and intricately designed castles we've been promised. Character creation, equipment, and stats. And finally, on that note, character creation. Miyazaki stated in the Bandai Namco interview that this title will include a wide variety of weapons, magic, and ways to engage enemies that make it possible to provide users with a style of gameplay and strategy that suits them. It was further emphasized that this was the largest project in terms of scale that they can expect in the variety of equipment and combat approaches to surpass Souls titles. This is further reinforced by a call-out to fun action melee combat and unique and horrifying bosses. Miyazaki also stated that there is no fixed main character in Elden Ring. We mostly leave it up to the player to decide the characteristics and personality of the character they create. That does sound like modern RPGs where there is a central role in the game, but it's up to the player to design the look, making the central character a player avatar. Does that mean Elder Scrolls-style levels of control from fatness to cheekbones? This is yet unconfirmed, with Miyazaki commenting the game contains character customization elements. Not explicitly a character creation confirmation, but given that the game is said to evolve Souls, we see no reason why this would be scaled back, particularly if battle approach versatility is to be expanded. Many were left wanting with the cinematic teaser and the limited availability of interviews and replies. From here on out, fans are likely to hear about the game at 4 critical junctions this year. First, PlayStation Tokyo event on July 15th. Second, Gamescom 2019 in August. Third, Tokyo Game Show in September. And finally, number 4, the Game Awards in December. That said, Bandai Namco has a tendency to make their own announcements at times of convenience, such as the announcement of Dark Souls Remastered being unveiled in January at the Nintendo event. What is clear from the timeline, however, is that it's unlikely that the title will be released in March or April of 2020. Were the game ready prepared for such, E3 would have shown gameplay instead of just a teaser, so we are about 6 months behind a typical release window. This would then push it back to the September-October window, so gameplay may only be forthcoming by TGS 2019. If you don't want to miss anything about Elden Ring, bookmark the Elden Ring newsfeed or the Elden Ring wiki homepage, where we will be sharing the latest information, news, gameplay, and details on Elden Ring as soon as they're live. If you want to check out similar games, we suggest having a peek at Project Awakening.